Do you feel like your wings were clipped before? You knew you wanted to go, but you couldn't?
I wasn't allowed to. No, that's a really dark period in my time. I lost everything then.
Yeah, man. So you're like my Belgian twin.
Uh,
Some of our stories run parallel, don't they?
yeah, seems so. Seems so. I had to start all over again, like you. The whole, the reason why you start a business is to have a good life eventually.
So, Kim,
Finally.
after a year,
Oh.
we've met. It's good to meet you at long last.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is gonna go on our YouTube channel, which is really good, Solar Cleaning TV. So it's quite exciting to actually get to meet you at long last. So we have much to discuss, I think, probably.
Yeah.
All things solar and also non-solar.
Mm-hmm.
So you run a solar panel cleaning company here in Belgium.
In Belgium, yeah. Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about how you got involved in solar. Where did you come from?
Basically, I'm an electrician for 15 years, more than 15 years. I started my own company when I was 21. Did that and slowly rolled into in the solar world. So at some point, that was 3 years ago, I decided to do something with my best friend. Back then it was just a side hustle. My friend needed some extra income and I was already doing some marketing for solar companies, etc. So I said, well, if I bring the customers, can you do the job? So we started that, and that quickly turned into something bigger. So here we are now, full time, and doing 90% commercial with the robots. Yeah.
So you've grown quite quickly. 3 years, you've grown really fast. I've sort of seen the growth curve. I understand the growth curve, and you've grown a lot quicker in your first 3 years than I did in my first 3 years. So what do you think has been the key for that growth? What do you think has been the driver behind it? Do you think you were in the right place at the right time, or was there a lack of cleaners, or have you been very specific?
Definitely a lack of specialized cleaners focusing on solar. There's a lot of window cleaning guys doing this kind of service, but really specializing in solar, maybe 3 or 4 in Belgium. That's combined with, I'm quite experienced in marketing, so with my background in lead generation and marketing, I think that was the key factor of my growth.
Okay, the marketing side. So what did you do specifically then? Was there an epiphanal moment that you thought, I can go for this here? Or was it just you thought, well, I'm setting up a business, I'd better start doing some advertising? How did the marketing sort of take its shape?
So before I started my cleaning company, I was doing lead generation for, you know them, Enphase.
Yeah.
Big brand.
Yeah.
So we were providing leads for their certified installer network. We were doing quite well with that, and we were using Facebook ads, strictly Facebook ads for that. And I said to myself, basically, if I can bring a solar company leads, why don't I start my own business and do the exact same? And
so the same marketing model that you had for Enphase, you've duplicated over here in Solar Co-Cleaning.
Yeah.
And away it's gone.
Yeah.
Did you target commercial specifically?
No, I started doing residential. So the first 1.5, 2 years, I was focusing most of my efforts on residential. I got a few commercial clients in that time, but it's when I decided to purchase the Solar Clino, the robot, and really started advertising that. not really with ads, the typical ads that we know, but more with content marketing on LinkedIn.
Massive difference, content marketing.
That's where basically in a year time I at least quadrupled my commercial clients. Yeah.
So my growth curve, 2012, we cleaned our first panels. During the course of that calendar year, we cleaned about 200, just less than 200 panels. And then a year later, 2013, we cleaned about 16,000. Year later was 55,000. The year after that was our biggest jump, where we went from 55,000 to 186,000 panels cleaned. And then from there, we went to over 1 million panels cleaned. So that was the sort of shape of our growth curve over a 5-year period. What's your growth curve looking like so far?
Growth curve. So we got a national client basically within the first 6 months after starting the business, but not really that large size. It's just the past year that I don't know the exact number of panels we brought in right now, but we have a few big installers, we have a few national clients. I would say at least a couple 100,000 now extra in 1 year. Ballpark estimate, let's say around 300,000.
Okay. And moving forward, you're obviously going to just continue to grow, I'm assuming, Belgian based, or have you got plans elsewhere?
I already have set up a business in the US, in California, with a business partner that's doing the physical work now over there, where we focus mainly on commercial and carports. We're trying to do utility scale as well. They're building the tractor right now. We only have one. We're building an additional 10 more. And that's under a franchise model.
Okay, yeah.
So that's coming up, early days, but we're picking up business quite fast. We just signed a huge deal for 76 carports.
Okay.
In the US.
Is that across the US or in California specifically?
That's a specific area in California.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's good.
Visalia, Bakersfield.
It's a week's work for somebody, isn't it?
What?
It's a week's work for somebody. 76 carports.
That's 2 weeks of work. Yeah.
So, what do you see as the biggest hurdle that you've had to overcome so far then in the business? Because growing from nothing 3 years ago to where you are now doesn't come problem free. So what have been the obstacles you've had to overcome?
I think time management and setting up structurized business. I mean, you have this idea to start a business, you start that business, you bring in clients, but then when you grow the business, typical growth pains that every company faces, I guess. How do you plan logistics, planning, dispatching, and especially when you're a one-man army?
Yeah, it's tough.
That's a lot of, and all the content marketing and the lead gen, and it's just...
You're head of at least 7 departments when you're on your own.
Exactly.
At least
exactly. 7. And that's where I see, basically it's time management, and at some point you need to outsource certain things, and yeah, that's a big one.
So you've done very well, obviously, to do what you've done in such a short space of time. Where do you think your specific skill set lies? Is it driving that robot? Is it doing the marketing? Is it building the business? What do you think you're best at?
Absolutely, the marketing and sales.
Yeah.
That's what I love to do the most. That's where my passion is. I mean, driving that robot is not rocket science.
No.
Cleaning solar panels is also not rocket science. You need to know what you're doing, but this can all be taught. Marketing can also be taught, but I don't know a lot of solar panel cleaners that like to do marketing.
No.
and this is what I enjoy the most.
Yeah. That's why I asked, because I started out life as a window cleaner the day after I left school. That was sort of my vocation. It's all I ever did, all I ever knew. I bolted gutter cleaning onto my window cleaning in time because I'm already there. I'm already up the ladder. It's in the days before the 2005 work at height regulations, so we can't freely work on ladders in the UK anymore, whereas we could back then. So then I knew those regulations were coming in 2005. So in 2004, I got a pole system, an old Tucker pole system secondhand that I bought from my ex-father-in-law. He was the first. He was the first in the middle of England to have one. No one else had a pole system before him, and so I watched and I observed and I learned and I went and helped him, and then I knew it was good. So I got this pole system, developed the company into sort of property cleaning, and then eventually got into solar panel cleaning off the back of one of my window cleaning customers. But on health and safety grounds, I actually said no to that customer 3 times. They said, will you clean our panels? And I was like, you know what? Can I clean them? Yes.
Yeah.
I can reach. I've got the water. I've got the pole. Do I know what I'm doing cleaning them? No. Because I'm spraying water onto an electricity creating device with a carbon pole in my hand. And I didn't know what that could do to me, Kim, but I knew potentially it could do magical things to me. So I said no to that client 3 times. And then eventually I sort of caved in, but I'd done my homework by that point about...
There was actually nobody in the UK doing that.
No, so it was really interesting because this client said to me, can you clean our solar panels? And I was like, no, that's not for me. 2 months later, I went back to clean the windows and they said, Steve, we can't find anybody that can clean our solar panels. Can you do them? And I said, no, find someone. Just go on the internet, you'll find someone, I'm sure. And then 2 months later, so this is 6-month period. 2 months later, I went back again. They said, Steve, we can't find anybody. Yeah. And I said, you're typing the wrong thing into Google. There's got to be somebody out there in the UK cleaning solar panels. Got to be. So that was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I said, I'm going to finish work now early. I'll go home and I'll find you somebody. So I went home, sat on the internet for like an hour. I couldn't find anybody. And I didn't intend on thinking about it, but it just kept me awake that night. And I was like, there's got to be somebody. So instead of going to work the next day out window cleaning, I just took the day off and I sat on Google for nearly 10 hours, just typing in all sorts of search terms, trying to find this customer. It was a solar panel cleaning company. There wasn't a single UK-based web page about solar panel cleaning, not one. And I was there hours. Yeah. So I called some companies in California, in Spain, in Germany that purported to be solar panel cleaning companies, asked them my health and safety questions and my concerns. All of them came back with exactly the same answer of, we never thought of that. And I was just amazed.
That was how long ago?
That was 2012. Okay. And I was just amazed that no one was going around thinking there was a risk of electrocution when you're spraying water on these electricity creating devices. I was just gobsmacked by that. So then I realised at that point there was a niche, and I thought, well, if no one else is doing it, there's got to be a market here. But I was still scared about the safety element, so I researched. I didn't know what a solar panel was essentially, so I researched what is a panel. Is there a risk of electrocution while you're cleaning these things? The answer to that is yes, there is. So therefore I needed to find out, how can I protect myself from electrocution? And when I look back at the early photos and the early processes that I had back then, I thought I knew what I was doing, but I actually didn't. And we, over the decade that I've been in the solar industry now, I've sort of developed and grown all the processes as we've gone. And it's been many, 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 many hours of work, hours and hours and hours. I spent weeks and weeks and months of my life just researching this industry. And then, like you, I got a national contract very early on because there was no competition. And I had to figure out how I'm going to go national within 3 months. I won a contract with our biggest utility company, British Gas Solar, as they were. They're owned by Centrica, who's the parent company. And they said that they had a contract that they were looking to regionalise in 7 different regions across the UK. Was I interested in the Midlands, which is where I was living at the time? And so I said, yeah, of course I'm interested. And so I'd never ever been in a boardroom before, never been in a corporate environment ever in my life, never had a meeting like it. Shined some shoes, put a suit on, drove down to their offices. Really quite intimidating atmosphere. 3 on the other side of the table. A note taker lady who long table, note taker lady all the way over there who didn't breathe a word to me. She just sat writing everything down. We discussed things for about an hour and a half, and they said, "What do you want from us?" And I remember thinking to myself, "Williams, you're only here once." So I said to them, "You're offering me the Midlands. I want the whole of the UK or none of it." I said, "I'm not interested in just the Midlands." And they all looked at each other and started laughing, and they said, "We hoped you were going to say that because we can't find anyone else with your expertise."
There you go.
Yeah. So I came out of that meeting, one man in a van on my own with a national contract from the biggest utility company in the UK, and I had no way of fulfilling it. None. I didn't know how to do it. I couldn't cover all this stuff. So I had to set up a subcontractor network, which was basically using very well respected window cleaning companies in various zones across the UK. Then I discovered everybody was working to different health and safety standards on my work, and I thought, well, I need to unify this. So then it took me over 2 years to develop the training course, but I developed this training course and I went back to all my subcontractors and said, "Look, if you want to carry on doing work for me, then you need to pay. You need to pay to do the training, and then we're going to unify everything." And lots of people, well, every single one of my subcontractors came and paid the money and did the course, and lots of other people heard about it. And I trained to date over 400 window cleaners in the UK about safe practices with solar panel cleaning. And the reason that I did it is because I needed so many, and then gradually we've got rid and filtered out the subcontractors, and then we've gradually brought it all in house. And the robots, as you say, have been a big part in our journey as well.
Yeah.
We bought the Solar Clino F1, I think, September 18. Yeah, September 18. And then we got an M1 a couple of years later. And then this last week, we've just taken delivery of our second F1. So we've got 3 robots on the go now. We still do residential cleans manually. We've got 2 cherry pickers, we've got scaffolding, so we've got everything that we need to do to tackle everything. I was heavily engaged in the utility ground mount for a long time, but gradually I've moved away from that and specialised just in rooftop.
Yeah, you need to specialise. I mean, rooftop is completely different than ground mount.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's very, very different challenges. So moving forward, Kim, what do you see as being the biggest challenges that you're going to face with the business moving forward?
I would definitely say finding the right people. Yeah.
And enough people.
Enough people, finding the right people, enough people, finding someone with the right motivation and mindset as an employee. You need to train them. Yeah, well, training is a big part in our industry.
Yeah.
Where I see there's a big lack at the moment. It's a fairly new industry. There are a lot of things that come into play here, which safety.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, you know my thoughts on that subject. It's so underdeveloped.
Yeah.
The solar panel clean industry when it comes to training.
There's so much need for basically education in general for this industry. In every aspect possible.
Yeah. I agree. What do you think can be done about that? What's the way to overcome that in your mind?
Some people in the industry need to step up, and we already had a talk about this, but like the window cleaning space, they already have a association. A few key players in the industry putting their heads together and set up some standards for the industry.
It's interesting because I've talked to we have a federation of window cleaners in the UK, and I've written a couple of articles for them, and the kickback that comes from the window cleaners when you talk to them about safety is pretty strong. And they feed back to me and they say, what you've said is correct, but they don't like it. I said, well, that's their problem, isn't it? It's not my problem. That's their problem. I'm giving them the information. I can't tell them how to receive the correct information. If they're choosing not to receive the correct information, that's on them. It's not on me.
I mean, as an electrician, I had to be certified. I had to follow safety courses. I can work on residential electricity, but I was not allowed to do high voltage. And every other technician needs to be certified. And at the moment, everybody can start a solar panel cleaning company. If my grandmother wants to start cleaning solar panels next week, she can.
Yeah.
And I find that pretty mind blowing.
Well, it shouldn't be allowed. That's the first thing. One, it shouldn't be allowed, and two, it has to stop. That's my personal opinion, and I feel so strongly about it that I'm trying my best to make it stop. I don't think it's correct that a man and his son of 16 years old can walk onto a 50 megawatt ground mounted solar farm with a van, a tank and a couple of water-fed poles, and they can start work. No training, no knowledge of what they're working on. If you said to those guys what voltage is being pushed through those panels that you're cleaning, they wouldn't have a clue.
No.
Would not have a clue. And that's just one of many aspects of solar panel cleaning, which I just think is outrageous. I'm amazed that we're a decade in, and we're still at stage one.
We're a decade in, and I still see people, professional companies, using high pressure washers on solar panels, and they think it's quite normal. And when I tell them as a colleague, guys, you shouldn't be posting this.
No, cease and desist.
Let it go, because if your insurance finds out about this, you could be in a lot of trouble. And then they fire back at me, and then I'm the big woo-woo guy.
The only way it will change, I think, is to engage the safety bodies, and that's sort of the route that I'm taking. Because they're the enforcers, they're the people that can actually do something about it. It's alright you saying one thing on LinkedIn and Facebook and me saying exactly the same as I do. You know, we back each other up in these public forums, and I've got the training course ticking away in the background. I'm talking to some, what I feel I'm talking to the right people in this space right now. And I feel that during the course of the rest of 2022, we'll see some progress. But I think actually it'll be 2023 before we get the likes of OSHA or HSE in the UK or the Belgian equivalent. VCA. And all of these regulatory bodies to say, actually, there's a risk there and we need to regulate it more closely. It will happen. It will happen. I just wonder if somebody has to die first before it happens. That's my only thing. And I've heard of plenty of deaths in the UK.
I see every time you bring this topic up in one of the Facebook groups, there are always a few people that say, well, nobody died so far, and is it all really this bad? Yeah, it is. It's not only electrocution, but it's like your fall protection, your safety gear, I sent you a picture last week.
A
guy fell through the roof. Just started last month.
So what's he's like 3 weeks into his solar panel cleaning career, and he's on a hospital
and
bed.
He's 2 months home. He has to pay for a damaged roof. He's very lucky that he can still tell people about it.
Well, from the photos you sent me, if he lands on one of those bars, it's good night Vienna, isn't it?
Just 1 centimeter to the left, and
he's gone.
He was gone.
So it's things have to change really. So your electrician background, what pushed you into that then? What was life like for Kim from the ages of 5 to 20? How were you raised? Where were you raised?
long story short, I had a good youth. My parents were divorced. Stayed with my mom. Um, just a good young life. Um, yeah, I'm an electrician by study. Is that how you say it? Yeah.
Yeah, by trade. Electrician by trade, yeah.
Yeah.
What sent you in that direction of electrics?
I didn't know what I wanted to become besides becoming an F-16 pilot.
Set your sights low.
But I'm car sick, so I have travel sickness.
Oh, really?
And I actually asked for the paperwork to assign for military school
Okay.
to become a pilot.
You wanted to be a Top Gun.
My favorite movie, by the way.
I'm looking forward to number 2 coming out. I can't wait.
We're ready for 2 years.
I've been waiting for months and months and months. So I'm really excited.
Yeah.
It's May, isn't it? It's out. I think it's May.
June.
June. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. So you applied for the military papers, you said?
I applied and then I received the paperwork, and I remember like it was yesterday. Paper number 1 on top, huge banner. If you're car sick, stay at home. I went to the doctor and I asked, can we do something about this? But it's not curable. No. Just,
it is what it is.
it is, yeah.
Yeah. That's
So that shattered my dream, of course, and then I basically had no idea what I wanted to become. My parents basically told me to just go to school and follow the highest level possible.
Yeah.
Which I did until I was 15. Then I said, well, I want to do something with my hands, become a carpenter or an electrician. Yeah, and for some reason it was electrician. Yeah. So.
And it's led you nicely into where you are now. So, what sort of things keep Kim awake at night? What are the things that just bother you, that you think, oh, these are the things that keep me awake? Business or personal?
Things that keep me awake are 99% of the time are business. I just have a really hard time shutting my mind off.
Yeah. Well, it's a lifestyle. It's not a business, it's a lifestyle.
I see a lot of people online selling the dream, quitting the 9 to 5 and become an entrepreneur and the Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week and
Yeah,
forget about it. You give a 9 to 5 up for a 24/7. And that's, it's Saturday now, tomorrow it's Sunday. Here we are doing this. It's not really business, but tomorrow it's Sunday and tomorrow I'm cleaning again.
Me too.
Yeah.
What do you think it is that is different about men like us? What is it that makes us do what we do? Because you work, from what I can gather, virtually every minute going, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And I know damn well that I do. What is it with people like us?
Hard to explain. I think always have that drive to look for something more, never satisfied with, always trying to improve. I mean, I'm always educating myself, or it's reading a good book, or it's basically buy a new course every month for a topic that is it marketing or something else.
Yeah. But
I'm always reinvesting things and trying to improve everything, and I think that's, I don't know, what do you think?
I think a lot, for me, stuff comes from my childhood that's turned me into a hyper diligent person. Like, I took a personality test I took the Jordan B. Peterson personality test, so it's not a free one, you pay. This is a high-end sort of personality test, and I ranked in the 99th percentile when it comes to conscientiousness and industriousness. And so if there were 100 people in a room, I would be the 99th most industrious and conscientious person in that room, according to that test. And it's a very lengthy test. It takes time to do, and it goes into a lot of detail. And I think that I can kind of pinpoint events in my life, good and bad, that have shaped me into what I am. And I have an interesting sort of religious background as well. I was born into a high control religious cult, and the control that they have over you as a person when you're born into it, you have no idea what it is. You just grow up in that environment.
Okay.
But they control many different aspects of your life, you know, what music you can and can't listen to, what films you can and can't watch, what friends you will and won't have, who you will and won't marry. And no matter how much you do for that organisation, and I was very involved, I was a full-time minister for years, you know, probably 12 or 13 years. I was a full-time evangeliser for that organisation, and they really drive you think you're giving them your absolute best, but they want that extra hour from you. You think you give a really good public speaking assignment, and they'll come and tell you, you know, it was great, it was really, really good, but and then there's always something, and so you're always striving to hit the higher level. And so when I got kicked out of that organisation for breaking the rules, I lost all my friends that I'd ever known all my life. They no longer speak to me. I have parts of my family that no longer speak to me. So I had no social circle. My marriage broke down. For times I had trouble seeing my kids. So when you've got no wife, no kids, no friends, parts of your family you can't speak to, well, at that time I pretty much only had one thing left, and it was work. And the solar company came to life like 12 months before my marriage broke down and before I was kicked out. And then shortly after that time, I got with she was my girlfriend then, she's my wife now, Karen. And we've built, you know, people tell us it's an empire is what we've built together, but we feel we've done well, considering both of our backgrounds. Very working class, just normal council estate kids. Karen, very, you know, working class family background, and divorced parents when she was young, and mine were divorced when I was young. And so I think that for me, losing everything I'd ever known in totality left me with one thing left. And so because I was very engaged in that organisation, I put many hours into it every week. When that was just gone like that, I had all this time available, and I had to obsess over something. And so where I was obsessing over that before, I now obsessed about work. I don't have a social circle still. Never sort of recaptured that. I don't really know how to make friends now. I've almost lost the art, which is a bit of a shame really, but I've developed a life where I don't particularly need friends. If I've got Karen, if I've got my business, and I've got access to my kids as much as I can get them, I don't really need anything else. I've got some nice things, but if somebody came and swept them all away tomorrow, it won't make any difference to me. It's like, okay, that's fine. I'll go build more and get more. And it's not even about the things. I don't care about the money that I earn. I earn more than I ever thought I was ever going to earn in all my life. But for me, it's not about that. It's not about the Tesla. It's not about the holidays. It's about the challenge of, can I get this done? When I got the British Gas solar contract, it was like, can I get that done? Can I? Can I go in that boardroom and say, I want the whole lot? Can I get it? It turns out I could. So then my next challenge is, well, can I actually fulfill it? And it turned out that I could. Can I write a decent training course that will improve the standards of the industry? Turns out I could. Can I figure out how to develop websites and get them to rank one at the top of Google globally? Turns out I can. can I clean the UK's largest ground mount at its time of install? Yeah, I can. Can I clean the UK's biggest roof mounted install when it was put in? Yeah, I can. Can I clean Europe's first floating solar array? Turns out I can. I'm very lucky in that I only sleep for 5 hours a night. I do tell people that's a massive advantage that I've got.
Yeah, me
Huge.
Me too.
I'm part of the non-sleeping elite. And so if I get my 5 hours, I can function on that and I don't ever need a minute more. And so when I explain this to people, I say, well, you're operating on an 8-hour sleep a night, I'm operating on a 5, so that gives me 3 hours a day extra than you, that gives me 21 hours a week. And people say, oh, that's nearly a day. And I said, no, it's not, it's nearly 3 days. Because if you work 8 hours a week, that's 8 hours a day for 3 days, that's 24. Well, I'm 21 up just on sleep alone. So I've actually got nearly an extra 3 working days available to me. So one of my sisters particularly says, I don't know how you do what you do. I don't know how you fit so much into your life. And that's why, is because I have an extra 3 working days available to me. So to my mind, shame on me if I don't get more done in my working week than other people. You know, I should, because I have all these extra hours available.
Yeah.
But I think much of what drives me personally is a natural propensity towards an insatiable desire for learning. I read the dictionary when I was 13 by torchlight, most of it. You know, I was sent to bed at 7:30, and so from 7:30 until my battery on my torch went dead, 10:30, I'd be reading the dictionary.
Reading the dictionary, all right.
So I appreciate that's not normal necessarily, but I've read the dictionary twice. I love words. I love to learn, and so when I'm out cleaning panels, or whether I'm at my desk working, I've got YouTube on, I'm listening to a business seminar or about business growth or about franchising or about solar or motivational videos. I've discovered that I love the more academic side of things, the likes of Stephen Fry and Stephen Pinkett and people like this. So I was listening to them today. I mean, today I've listened to 7 hours of academia with Stephen Fry and Pinkett and Dawkins and Hitchens and Jordan Peterson that I mentioned earlier. And so, you know, I educate myself a lot as well as working, as well as running a business. And so I just love to learn. You know, I love to learn. And I think being a male as well plays a difference. You find that females generally won't sell their soul in the same way that a man will. Women are interested in people, whereas men are interested more in things and concepts. And so you'll find that if you've got, you know, it's no accident that the highest positions in corporations are male, is because to get to the very highest levels of CEO or managing director or whatever it be of these top echelons of massive companies, is you have to work 19 to 20 hours a day. And women by nature generally are not willing to do that. They want to care for their family, they want to fluff their nest up. They're not built the same way mentally as men. It's not that men are superior at all. And so, you know, people listening to this may think I'm a misogynist. I'm not. It's what the social science tells us. The social science tells us that men have an obsessive side to their personality when it comes to their career, more so than women. And that's what drives men to the top of the organisations. Mm-hmm. Women will often pause their career for a 1, 2, 3, up to 5 year period when they have a child, you know, and if they have multiple children, they may have to pause their careers. And so
there goes the career then.
Yeah, well, it kind of does, you know. It's very hard if you've paused your career 3 times for 2 years at a time. You're 6 years behind the guy who's never left the company. It's really hard to catch him up at that stage. So there's lots of social science that's been done. There's lots of studies, lots of data to indicate that men particularly are exceptionally driven when it comes to their career, or a certain type of man, and the average woman is not the same. And so I think there's multiple things really. Now that I understand social science and psychology, I think there's a lot of reasons why I am the way I am and why I work the way I work. A lot of it can be tied to my past. Some of it's tied to my personality. Some is the very fact that I'm a man. If you go out on the road at 5 a.m, you'll pass probably 50 or 60 men driving before you'll see a woman. Because men play a different role in the working construct than women do. They're the construction workers. They're the guys going to work on roofs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Women want equality. Much of the time they speak about equality, but you know, the nursing industry is female dominated. The scaffolding industry is male dominated. It's just the nature of things sometimes, you know. One career is not better than the other.
No.
But it's just the way that they are.
No.
And so I think the fact that I'm a man that had this very unusual high control cult upbringing shaped me massively into my work ethic. And I was given good examples by my 4 parents as well. They all worked hard. My stepmom was probably my biggest influence when it came to work ethic. She was a nurse and she was always, you should work hard and go to college and you go to university, and of which I did none of those things, but I've always worked hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have many things going in my favour to sort of help me along the way, and I don't switch off like you said. I'd like to, but I don't really.
So we both have a passion for education and
Yeah. And this is why I'm so passionate about the training course, is because if people took the time to do it, they would understand the material and they'd understand actually the value that rests in there is massive to them as an individual and to their employees. You know, they'll be better businessmen, better business owners, better sole traders if that's what they are and that's what they want to do, and that's fine as well. They'll have a safer organisation if they've got employees. There's just massive upside in training and education, massive upside. And that can be for any facet in life, I believe. So yeah, that's sort of my take on it really. What do you think about any of that? You probably didn't know some of that about me.
No. I never knew about the religious stuff. No, it's the first one. No, interesting.
It's like we say about business. It's not, you're not owning a business. You have a lifestyle. And so before this was that. I wasn't in a religion. I had a religious lifestyle. It was just everything. And so the extremism of the fallout from what I did was such that I lost everything literally in 8 seconds. Somebody made an announcement up on the platform. Steve Williams is no longer one of us. That was it.
That fast?
Yeah. People before that meeting were talking to me like they always had done all of my life, laughing, joking, shaking hands, everything. And then that announcement was made halfway through the meeting, and from that day forward, they've never spoken to me again.
Because they're not allowed to, or?
Yeah. They're told that they're not allowed to, yeah.
Damn. That's hard.
It's tough, yeah, it's very difficult, but when you go through an experience like that, you appreciate the good in life. You appreciate that you've got to depend on yourself. You know, I had friends in there that told me they were going to be my friends forever, and they just didn't turn out that way. And so you've got to just learn that you be very select about who you let in. And so Karen has been, you know, a bedrock of my life. Exceptional woman, allowed me to do whatever I've needed to do. When it came to business, I need to go to Mexico City to speak at a seminar. Okay, off you go. I need to go to Melbourne to speak at an event in Australia. Okay, off you go. I need to go to Belgium to clean solar panels and speak to Kim. Okay, off you go. But I mean, she's highly trained in her own right. You know, she
Mhm.
cleans solar. She's a very good solar panel cleaner. She's got all the trainings.
she is?
Yeah. She's roof trained. She's got all the manual handling certificates, working at height certificates, and yeah, she's the best member of staff I've ever had. I better say that, hadn't I?
Yeah. Wink, wink.
Yeah, that's it. But no, I mean, you know, I have a tattoo here of Ramses II, the pharaoh, the great pharaoh, and then on the back of my leg is his wife Nefertari, because behind every good man there's a great woman.
Mm.
And that's what Karen has allowed me to do. She's allowed me to grow a business and as a person.
True. I had a 15-year-old relationship with somebody who basically not supported me at all in my entrepreneurship. And now I do. It's a world of difference.
Do you feel like your wings were clipped before? You knew you wanted to go, but you couldn't?
I wasn't allowed to. She held me back in every way possible. At some point in time, she actually told me, I hope that you'd never make a lot of money with the business.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
How did that feel? The easiest way to describe that is really weird. I mean, the reason why you start a business is to have a good life eventually, or to pass it on to your children or whatever. But when your life partner tells you that she doesn't want you to succeed with what you're doing, yeah, what does that tell you?
You've got to ask some very difficult questions at that stage, haven't you? So was that, you don't have to answer these questions, but was that sort of a motivating factor that led the relationship to its natural end, that you think, no, I have to go and spread my wings and I have to go and explore my own journey?
I made some really bad decisions in that relationship, basically because I was really not happy, but I was really not being honest with myself then, and I had my business back in the day, and I was working even more than I'm doing now, just not to face the truth, to hide it. And as long as you're not home, you're working, and out of sight, out of mind.
So do you feel you had to confront yourself at some point?
At some point, and actually she made a decision then. Well, I actually had to do that, but no, that's a really dark period in my time. I lost everything then. Both my business, her, my house, my dogs, everything.
Yeah, man. So you're like my Belgian twin. Some of our stories run parallel, don't they?
Yeah, seems so. I had to start all over again, like you. On a Friday, I went to my mom, knocked on the door with a suitcase in my hand. I'm back. Yeah. So, that was rock bottom. Business went bankrupt, etc. I mean, literally had to start again from zero.
Why did you start again? Why not just go and work in?
I tried.
Brico or something.
I tried it.
You tried it?
Yeah. For a year. And then I said, it's enough. Yeah, I just can't do. It's not in my nature. I can't do that. I mean, not that I'm a bad employee, but I've always believed I'm built for something else. I just don't want a 9 to 5 and being yelled at work, which happened a lot.
I before I left school, I was working just on a market stall part time, and that was good for me because it taught you to just stand outside for 10 hours on a Saturday in the snow, and then you stand there in the sun for 10 hours in the blazing sun, and you know it's hard work, it's physical, but it gives you people skills. You can talk to all sorts of different people as well, but I really, even from that experience, realised I was not an employable person. I've never sat in anyone's payroll. I've only ever run my own business, and the day after I left school was my first business I set up, and I've still got it now.
Yeah,
the window cleaning company, and I really wouldn't like to go work for anyone. I couldn't imagine working for anyone. I'm too much of a in my mind, I think I'm a bit of a visionary, as in not an Elon Musk type visionary, though he is absolutely one of my idols, Elon Musk. But I have my own.
So you loved my post from yesterday?
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah. The Elon Musk tweet. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
But Elon Musk is like a 1 in 500 years type man. Yeah. You don't get Elons come around very often. And he's changed the way that the whole planet lives 3 times over. You know, PayPal, electric cars, which people say could never be done in our lifetime, and then with SpaceX, and he's changing the landscape there as well. So he's an absolutely astonishing person. But when I say a visionary, I do imitate or try and imitate some of the traits of these people, and I find that I imitate them naturally as opposed to trying to in some of their traits. But when I say about visionary, it's like, well, if I see those shelves being stacked that way, I'd find my own way to stack them, and I would want to do it my way as well.
Yeah.
Which doesn't go in with the company policy, and the company say no, you've got to do it our way, because that. And I'd say, well, you know, if you did it this way, I'd be able to stack it 20% quicker. I'd always look to drive an extra efficiency out of whatever it was I was trying to do, and sometimes that's not appreciated or wanted in companies, and so I would always have a vision on how I would want to do it myself, and that you can't be doing that if you're an employee. You need to go in and you've just got to sit at your desk and do as you're told. And
yeah.
That's not my life. I couldn't do that.
No.
I couldn't do that.
And I tried different things. I worked in a factory. I worked as an electrician in construction. I actually did transportation of mattresses between Belgium and Holland. I mean, I've done a shitload of things.
Yeah.
And my last job was in an office space. In how do you say this in English? As an electrician, you go to a store to buy your.
Yeah.
How is it called?
So you go to the wholesalers.
Yeah.
You go to the wholesaler. Yeah.
So I actually ran an office.
Okay.
For a wholesaler. Yeah.
So where does the journey kind of finish for you? What's your end game? What are you looking for?
What am I looking for? Having a good life with my girl who's from Singapore. So.
And what does the good life look like?
I'm from Belgium, she's from Singapore, and at the end, my dream life would be in the US. I mean, me and her there, traveling together.
Yeah.
So.
It sounds good. I think it's achievable for you.
It's achievable. It's very achievable, and it might happen sooner as you think. But yeah, it's just that it's the first time I have a long distance relationship. I don't regret it, but it's difficult. It's I underestimated this. Just coming home at the end of the day with your partner. You can't now. There's this big time difference between us.
Yeah.
And it's hard, especially when you, as we discussed, you have a business where you're the only guy doing everything, making sure that you still talk to each other every day at a reasonable hour for both me and her.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think you'll get there.
You know, that's why I do what I do.
If you can run a business the way that you and I run a business, getting a girl from Singapore and setting up home is a doddle, yeah? Well, look, Kim, it's been great speaking to you. I'm glad that you set time.
I'm glad that we actually sat down.
No, it's been great. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right. We'll speak soon.
Yeah.